Zaid stared at his reflection. His eyes were bloodshot, his shoulders slumped. The man staring back at him seemed like a stranger, a ghost of his former self. He looked every bit the part of a man consumed by his corporate job. The once vibrant spark in his eyes had been replaced by a dull, lifeless gaze. Long hours and endless emails had become his life. The constant pressure to meet deadlines and the never-ending stream of tasks left him feeling like he was drowning. His days were fueled by caffeine and fast food, quick fixes that provided temporary relief but did nothing to nourish his body or soul. Exercise was a distant memory. The gym membership card in his wallet was a relic of a time when he had the energy and motivation to take care of himself. Zaid knew he wasn't living his best life, but the thought of change felt overwhelming. Weekends offered little respite. They were just brief pauses in an otherwise relentless cycle. Zaid would collapse onto the couch, exhausted, the weight of the week pressing down on him, leaving him too drained to do anything but rest. He'd scroll through social media, envy creeping in as he saw friends hiking, biking, and simply enjoying life. Their smiles and adventures were a stark contrast to his own monotonous existence. Deep down, he yearned for that same vitality. He longed to feel the rush of endorphins, the thrill of pushing his body to its limits. He missed the days when he felt strong and energized, when he could run for miles without feeling winded, lift weights without feeling sore for days. But the gap between his desires and reality seemed insurmountable. The more he thought about it, the more impossible it seemed to bridge that gap. One particularly stressful day, Zaid felt a sharp pain in his chest. It was a jarring wake-up call, a stark reminder of his mortality. He dismissed it as heartburn, another consequence of his poor diet. But the pain persisted. It was a constant nagging reminder that something was seriously wrong. It became a nagging reminder of his deteriorating health. Each twinge, each pang was a reminder that his body was crying out for help. Fear began to gnaw at him, the fear that he might not be around to see his children grow up, to grow old with his wife. He couldn't ignore the truth any longer. The reality of his situation was staring him in the face, demanding to be acknowledged. His lifestyle was catching up to him. The years of neglect, the poor choices, were all taking their toll. That night, Zaid lay awake, his mind racing. He thought about all the things he wanted to do, all the changes he needed to make. He thought about his wife and children. Their faces filled his mind, their laughter echoed in his ears. He imagined their lives without him. The thought was unbearable. The idea of leaving them behind, of not being there for them, was too much to bear. He knew he had to make a change for himself and for his family. The time for excuses was over. It was time to take action. His health, his life, depended on it. He started small, making healthier food choices, incorporating exercise into his routine. Each step, no matter how small, was a step towards a better future. The chest pains continued. Each pang was a stark reminder that something was terribly wrong. It wasn't just a fleeting discomfort, it was a persistent, gnawing pain that refused to be ignored. Zaid finally decided to see a doctor. The waiting room felt like an eternity, each tick of the clock amplifying his anxiety. He had always been hesitant about doctors, but this time he knew he couldn't delay any longer. The news was a sobering wake-up call. His blood pressure was through the roof. He was pre-diabetic and significantly overweight. The doctor's words hit him like a ton of bricks, shattering any illusions he had about his health. The doctor was blunt. Zaid needed to make drastic changes to his lifestyle or face serious health consequences. There was no sugarcoating it. His current path was leading him towards a grim future. Fear turned into a strange sort of determination. It was as if the gravity of the situation had flipped a switch inside him. He realized that he had the power to change his fate. Zaid knew he couldn't keep living this way. He had a second chance, a chance to reclaim his health and his life. Staring at his reflection, he saw not just the man he was, but the man he could become. The journey wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to fight for it. He laced up his running shoes, feeling a mix of apprehension and resolve. Each step forward was a step towards a healthier future. He started small. He swapped his sugary coffee for green tea. It was a simple change, but it symbolized a larger commitment to his well-being. Fast food was replaced with home-cooked meals. He began experimenting with new recipes, finding joy in the process of nourishing his body with wholesome foods. He even started taking short walks during his lunch break. These brief moments of activity became a cherished part of his day, a time to clear his mind and reconnect with his goals. Each small step, though insignificant on its own, gave him a sense of accomplishment. He was taking control, one healthy choice at a time. The progress was slow, but it was steady, and that was what mattered. Still, doubt lingered. Could he really maintain this? Was it already too late to reverse the damage he had done? These questions haunted him, but he refused to let them derail his efforts. The road ahead seemed long and arduous. It stretched out before him, filled with challenges and obstacles. But he knew that every journey begins with a single step. But a flicker of hope had ignited within him, and he clung to it fiercely. He had to try. The sunrise symbolized a new beginning, a fresh start. With each dawn, he felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination to keep moving forward. The initial days were the hardest. Zaid stood at the entrance of the gym, feeling a wave of apprehension wash over him. The unfamiliar environment, the intimidating equipment, and the fit individuals working out with ease made him question his decision. Zaid's body craved the sugary treats and processed foods he'd grown accustomed to. The sight of a vending machine filled with junk food was a constant temptation, and his fridge, stocked with processed meals, seemed to mock his efforts. He felt tired and irritable. The withdrawal from his usual diet left him feeling drained, and the physical exertion of his new routine only added to his exhaustion. Every muscle ached and every step felt like a monumental effort. His mind, used to the constant stimulation of work, struggled to adjust to the slower pace of his new routine. He questioned his resolve. The hours he once spent in front of a screen were now filled with moments of self-reflection and doubt. Was he strong enough to see this through? The mirror reflected not just his physical form, but his inner turmoil. He wondered if he had the strength to continue to push past the discomfort and uncertainty. He pushed through the discomfort, reminding himself of his purpose. Each lift of the weights, each step on the treadmill was a testament to his determination. He knew that every small effort was a step towards a healthier future. He envisioned a future where he could keep up with his children, where he had the energy to enjoy life to the fullest. The thought of playing with his kids without feeling winded, of being present in their lives, fueled his resolve. This vision fueled his determination. He saw himself not just as a man struggling to get fit, but as a father, a role model, someone his children could look up to. He wouldn't let himself down. The mirror became a symbol of his journey, reflecting not just his physical changes, but his growing confidence and resolve. Zaid joined a gym, a daunting prospect at first. The decision to step into a gym was a significant one, filled with anxiety and uncertainty. He felt like an outsider in a world of fitness enthusiasts. He felt self-conscious, surrounded by fit and experienced gym-goers. Their effortless movements and toned bodies made him acutely aware of his own insecurities. He started slowly, using the treadmill and lifting light weights. Each small step, each lift, was a victory in itself. He knew that progress was not about speed, but consistency. Each workout felt like a victory. The sweat on his brow, the burn in his muscles, were signs of his hard work and dedication. He began to find joy in the process, in the small achievements that marked his journey. He was proving to himself that he could do this. The numbers on his fitness tracker, the reflection in the mirror, were tangible proof of his progress. He was becoming stronger, both physically and mentally. Even as he made progress, doubts whispered in the back of his mind. The fear of failure, of slipping back into old habits, was a constant companion. But he knew that these doubts were part of the journey. He worried about setbacks, about falling back into old habits. The road to lasting change was not a straight path, but a winding journey filled with obstacles. He knew that setbacks were inevitable, but he was determined to overcome them. He knew the road to lasting change was paved with challenges. Motivational videos and stories of others who had succeeded became his source of inspiration. He realized that every challenge was an opportunity to grow stronger, but he was determined to face them head-on. With each heavier weight he lifted, with each uphill jog, he proved to himself that he was capable of more than he had ever imagined. He wouldn't let fear hold him back any longer. The journey was far from over, but Zaid knew that he had the strength and determination to see it through. He was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with confidence and resolve. Section 4. The struggle for consistency. Consistency, Zaid learned, was his biggest hurdle to overcome. Life had a way of throwing curveballs. Work deadlines piled up, family obligations demanded his constant attention. There were days when finding the time and energy for his new routine felt impossible. He skipped workouts. He gave in to cravings. He felt the familiar pull of his old habits. Disappointment gnawed at him. He'd start again tomorrow, he promised himself. But tomorrow often turned into next week, and the cycle continued. One evening, after a particularly stressful day, Zaid found himself reaching for a bag of chips. He stopped himself, the disappointment heavy in his chest. He knew this was a critical moment. Would he succumb to the temptation or push through? He put the chips down and went for a run instead. It wasn't his best run. His legs were heavy and his breathing was ragged, but he finished it. And in that moment, he realized something important. It didn't matter if he wasn't perfect. What mattered was that he kept showing up consistently. Section 5. A helping hand. Aisha, Zaid's closest friend, had witnessed his struggles. She had always been his confidant, offering a listening ear and words of encouragement. One day, she suggested they start working out together. Zaid hesitated. He didn't want to hold her back. Aisha, a fitness enthusiast, had a demanding workout routine. Aisha wouldn't take no for an answer. She understood Zaid's insecurities and tailored their workouts to his fitness level. They started with brisk walks, gradually incorporating jogging and strength training. Having someone to hold him accountable made a world of difference. Aisha's support extended beyond their workouts. She shared healthy recipes and offered tips on staying motivated. She reminded him that setbacks were a normal part of the process. The key was to learn from them and keep moving forward. With Aisha's guidance, Zaid began to see fitness not as a chore, but as a journey of self-discovery. He was no longer just trying to lose weight or lower his blood pressure. He was building a stronger, healthier version of himself, both physically and mentally.